Since the start of the pandemic, so going back to March 2020, has your relationship with your home and garden changed? So has the meaning of home or garden become more or less important? Have you been doing anything different than you would normally do?
Made me feel like I'm a prisoner all the time. My only outlet at the end of the day in real terms, I think, if I'm honest, is the television. Because of my loneliness prior to the pandemic, whenever I'm in the house, it's like an empty box anyway, but it's 10 times worse since the pandemic. Therefore, the television is really, it's just a noise in the background. I don't necessarily watch it, but it makes me feel like somebody's there.
Is there anything you're doing in terms of at-home activities that are different before the pandemic hit?
The only way I can explain it is you feel lonely within yourself, not as an individual, which is my normal sort of situation, but it's like you're almost lonely within yourself. I don't see my neighbours still. I see them maybe once a week, once a fortnight. The chap next door is older than me, therefore he worries, I worry, and we're sort of like that, away from each other. I've got used to talking to people online like this, but it's not the same as I can, without sounding too silly, it's not the same as shaking your hand, giving you a hug, whatever it might be. On the end of a screen is great, but it's after a year of doing it, it makes you a bit despondent.
With the technology, Vic, like using Zoom, for like we're doing this today and different things, were you using any of this before the pandemic, or was it all new?
No, it's all new. I've dealt with the tenants groups within the housing association, as I did with Aging Well and Wales, giving talks and all this sort of stuff. But everything I've done since March, basically, I suppose, it's all been online like this. It's like you're losing contact with people. Even talking to yourself, it's lovely to talk to you, I really mean that. But it's so difficult to say and really associate with somebody when you're, I don't know how far away. You could be on the moon for all I know.
Do you do much in the garden? Have you got an outside area?
Yes, I have got an outside area. Do I do anything? No.
No.
I'm not a gardener. Not only that, with my various aches, pains and disabilities, I've got no hope. I'm hoping to get somebody in this year to redo it for me. So I can't do it myself. It's physically an impossibility. As soon as that sun's shining, it lifts you. That's why I've always said if I had the opportunity and the money to do it, I'd be in Spain tomorrow.
Where you're living at the moment, Vic, is it kind of rural or is it semi-rural?
It is rural. I live in a village. I live in a cul-de-sac in that village, of which there is 8 houses. I know the people, well, one of them just moved out actually. I know all the people, but I don't see them. I might see them drive out the close, that's it. I don't see them to talk to, converse with. Where I lost my wife some years ago, I've got nobody to talk to. I've had a lot of tearful moments.
Yeah.
Well, since the pandemic really coming through. You just can't help it. It just wells up on you.
Absolutely. And would you say like the pandemic has made it worse, giving you time to think? And
I would suggest it's made it doubly, trebly, quadruply worse, because again, I've got no way to go and see people, relate to people, talk to people.
If you're the one that heads up the men's shed, did you consider using like technology like this to keep the people connected?
Yes, I did. Most of them haven't got mobile phones.
Right.
So it's limited to keep in touch with people. The people that I can keep in touch with, I do. And I think I'm right on saying this. I would suggest 90% plus in Wales have not actually had the men's shed open at all, because you're in confined areas, usually small areas. You couldn't get a 2 meter distance if you tried. And it's too cold to do anything outside. Yeah. Especially when you consider some of our members might be 80 or 85 years old. If I can sit in my garden for an hour or a week even in the sun trying to get a bit of a tan on my skin, I'll be very happy. It might just be me, I don't know, but I find that I'm going to bed earlier at night. which means I don't sleep well. I'm usually up by 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and by 10 o'clock, I'm absolutely wiped out again. This is where I'm always worried I'm going to become a hypochondriac. But when you've got no energy, you stop and think, well, is that this long COVID thing? Am I struggling with it because of this disease? I don't know what it is, and nobody else could tell me.
No.
I can't go to the hospital to get my hand sorted out, my hearing sorted out, or anything else sorted out because they won't take you in. Yeah, it's a mind-bending situation for me, anyway, personally.